The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, staff, management, or advertisers.
Coming to you on stations coast to coast, it's the Makin It radio show with your hosts, self-made millionaires Tommy Runfola and Todd Williams. Tommy Runfola, founder and president of one of America's top technology, consumer products, and media companies. Author, investor, and National Entrepreneur of the Year nominee. Tommy has worked with 5 U.S. presidents and vice presidents. Todd Williams, founder and CEO of Inc. Magazine's 2013 fastest growing food and beverage companies in America. A former NBC TV personality and Harvard Business alumnus. Makin It is the source for success stories and in-the-trenches information that outlines a roadmap to the American dream. And now, here's Tommy and Todd.
Welcome to Makin It with your 2 favorite entrepreneurs, Tommy and Todd, coming to you coast to coast, and we are so glad you're here. Let me first introduce Makin It's answer to Denzel Washington, my main man, Mr. Todd Williams. Say hello, Todd.
Hey, I think they know me. Everyone knows me.
And they know Denzel Washington, so
and they know his likeness to Denzel
They know
Washington,
the likeness,
we should
yes,
say.
of course.
Thank you.
And of course, the always effervescent Brittany Dorsey is with us today as well. So what's going on, Brittany?
Well, we have another great show as always today, and I also have control of all the sound effects over here, so I'm very excited about that.
Very dangerous.
Yes, hopefully I'll get all the buttons right when it's time. But before we get to that, I'm going to give you the rundown for the whole show today. First up, we're talking about drugs and a particular drug show, and there's actually a lot of business lessons in it. So we'll get to that first, but after the rest of this. Then you two are going to be discussing actually one of my favorite retailers, and I know a lot of women out there love this store. It's a store where you can go and find absolutely everything and anything you need. We all spend way too much money there, but somehow it's in trouble economically. So you two are going to be talking about how you can save one of my favorite stores.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll save them.
Thanking you in advance. Then I'm going to be talking about a certain business that is in trouble, going down, is down. We got some trouble on the horizon here economically again. And then lastly, we're going to be wrapping up by talking about personal values. So it's going to get a little unpolitically correct here.
Oh, yes.
On purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
right.
Okay,
All right.
so first up, we have...
Making It Show Buzz.
All right, so the show we're discussing is Narcos, and I don't know, well, I mean, I know Todd is, but Tommy, I don't know if you were familiar with this show before we decided to talk about it, but...
I was not, but
Okay.
now I am.
All right, so we made you watch this drug show, and I started watching it when it first came out just because the previews looked so, enthralling, and I really got hooked on it. And so I'm going to let you guys kind of talk about it a little bit. Go
You
ahead,
got hooked
Todd.
on it. No play on words.
No play on words. I got addicted. I got a little addicted to Narcos.
to the show. Okay, that was very appropriate. Well, Narcos is about the infamous Medellín drug cartel and Pablo Escobar.
Yes.
And all of his dope dealing, and it kind of starts out very early, where the drug culture was just developing. At that point in time, we were talking about hippies and flip-flops caught with a kilo of marijuana and that kind of thing,
Right.
and how. People like Escobar, obviously, and the other drug kingpins in the world saw the money
Right.
in this, and they went for it. And
A lot of money.
a lot of money and a lot of blood and guts and murders and
Over the money.
over the money. Yes. So it's it's a docudrama. It's based on fact, and it's about an all-out war, really, between the various drug lords and the governments of the world, and particularly the DEA, the United States, trying to shut them down. So there's a lot of action, and it's quite a good docudrama, I believe.
I think some of the takeaways on it, even though it's about a criminal enterprise, is one, criminal enterprises are known for their extraordinary profits.
Right.
So as much as it's wrong, they're feeding a demand. It's just an illegal demand.
Right.
It always intrigues me that why that demand is so high. it's like reminds me during Prohibition.
Right.
How high the demand was for something that you're not allowed to have.
Yes.
So I think it taps around human nature related to, demands in economics. There's a part on Narcos where, Pablo, he comes up to the border and there's these border police and law enforcement, and he tells them either let me get this shipment through, or I'm going to kill you and your family and the whole 9 yards. He says silver or lead. Either you take the money or you get the lead.
Yes.
And the simplicity of it. Then there's one part he was in when he met about expanding into cocaine from just smuggling cigarettes and electronics is where he started.
Right.
When he got to that part about expanding into cocaine, he was so nonchalant about it. He just was like, "Oh, this is a high demand. We need to get this into America because they even have a higher demand for this."
Right.
And let's just get the distribution and do this, because he was so confident that the product was that demanding.
Todd, you talked about comparing it to alcohol during the Prohibition, that kind of thing. There is a special evil with this drug trade, and it's just evil to the core. It ruins lives. People get murdered over it. It brings out the worst of humankind. It's just a terrible scourge on mankind. And honestly, I don't think we can be too hard on these people. There really are only two paths for people who get involved in narcotics, and one is life in prison or death. Really, I think we ought to hasten both of those for those kind of people.
What is let's talk about the demand. Like, why is the demand so ferocious?
I think people.
It's fueling it.
Yeah, I think people are just so unfulfilled. I talked to the mother of a young teenage dope addict, and he told her he hated going to rehab because if he couldn't get his dope anymore, he felt that he would never feel that good again in his life. These drugs alter your brain. They give you a false sense of ecstasy, and it's just that. It's brain alteration. It's a terrible scourge.
Yeah, well, so, there's that side of it for sure, and then there's the side that there's so many people out there that have a demand to feel that good for no work, for very little.
Right.
That it's just an incredible demand, and it makes them incredibly rich.
Well,
I mean, the whole thing. I mean, you think about it, you go see a movie, that's to feel good.
Yeah.
This is just an illegal way to feel good.
Yeah.
And it's harmful.
Well, the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. And this is for the love of money, and it is evil.
It is money.
Yes.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Makin It with Tommy and Todd, coast to coast.